Hi kids, Heidi here, down in the corner. So, welcome back. If you did come back, I really appreciate it. I've been gone a couple of weeks almost. Yeah, I had an infected tooth that I had to deal with and suffer through, and well, no gruesome details here. I still have a tongue that's sore on one side, so if I lisp, don't make fun of me. Last time we spoke, I was talking to some of you about how to do shipping on eBay in a way that wasn't terrifying to Poshmark sellers. And this is lesson 2, where I offer you one simple method, and then I lie and say I've got 2 methods, but one really super simple method, and then the one I think you should do about how to do your shipping if you're used to selling only on Poshmark and using their very easy priority mail labels and packaging. So, let's get started. I've kind of forgotten how to use computers and how to sell things on the internet and how to do these presentations. So let's see. Oop, no, that's not what I wanted to happen. So let's go back to slide 2. Okay, so as a reminder, these videos, I think there's probably going to be 3 altogether. Who it's for Poshmark sellers who want to try eBay, or for sellers who started on Poshmark and you tried eBay but you're confused, or you're always having problems with your shipping, or you just live in terror, or for newish eBay sellers who still feel like you're confused with eBay shipping. The series is not for experienced eBay sellers. There are lots of ways to do shipping, and you yourself probably have 3 or 4 different methods, and every reseller has stumbled upon their best mix of policies, so you just keep on doing those. I'm just trying to have a little ease of entry for new folks. Please keep in mind that, again, there are many ways to set up your shipping. eBay was built for sellers who are selling one item out of their garage to millions of items, and they have to accommodate them all on the platform. You can experiment and change things later. No one right way for everybody. This is also, you don't come after me in the comments and say this is stupid, this is not how you should do it. But the way I suggest will work for new sellers, and you won't lose money. If you sort of kind of do it the way I suggest, who knows what's going to happen. You have to have a scale, and we're only going to use USPS, and we're only going to buy our labels on eBay. So I gave you some homework at the end of lesson 1. Did you check out notice 1, 2, 3? I have the 4 pages here that I referred you to, and what they are charts showing package weights, zones, which is a distance between 2 points, and the rates, whether retail or commercial rates for priority packages or ground advantage packages. And if you want to refer to those while I'm talking so you can dispute me whether I'm got it right or wrong, you could do that. You might want to use them in the future if you decide you want to charge a flat rate. For example, if something weighs up to 10 ounces, you're going to charge $5.99. That chart will show you whether or not you will be losing money or making money if you choose to do flat rate charges. Other homework from lesson 1 was you needed to get a scale. Do you have it? I asked you to decide, do you want to use calculated shipping? Because that's the first policy we're going to create. So if you decided you wanted flat charge shipping, that will be a more advanced future episode. I also asked you to decide what your handling time is going to be. Under promise and over deliver. So if you're not positive you can ship every single day, Monday through Friday, except holidays, then you shouldn't choose one day. But if you can do it pretty regularly, then go 2 days. If you ship earlier, yay. eBay discourages you from going beyond 3-day handling time. But each policy has a handling time. So let's talk about packaging. Remember, you can use a plain box or bag for any shipping service. And by plain, I mean this is plain. It says eBay, but it's still plain because the post office doesn't care what it says on it. This is plain. It's a poly mailer. This is plain. It's a poly mailer. An old Amazon cardboard box is plain. An old shoe box, which says Nike on the side, is plain. By plain, I mean it doesn't have a specific service on it. You can use a priority bag or box only for priority. This is a priority package. There are priority boxes. There are priority bags. I love these tie-up envelopes. I use them for almost all my Poshmark sales. You can only use a priority flat rate package with a priority flat rate label. A friend of mine recently had a bunch of charges show up on their eBay account because they accidentally were using priority labels on priority medium flat rate boxes. They just grabbed the wrong ones out of the stack. They knew that you had to have a flat rate label on a flat rate box. So be careful of that. Flat rate packages are almost always more expensive. They're meant for things that are heavy for their size. So if you're shipping a little tiny box of BBs, you might want to go with a flat rate box. Whereas if you were shipping a box of packing pillows, a flat rate box would be a terrible deal. You'd probably spend $7 on a big priority box of air pillows, but you'd probably spend $20 on a flat rate box, okay? So just keep those flat rate boxes away from your eBay orders. Do you need to order some poly mailers? Some packaging sellers on Amazon, there are lots of them. I could put a link in my thing to my favorite. My favorite is Spartan Industrial. I'll just say that. I'll put a link down there if you want me to. I buy sometimes from companies that I believe in and refuse to buy from companies that I don't believe in. So anyway, I won't get political. But most of them have an assortment. So if you're not sure, if you want, these are 10 by 12. It's a great size for everything. You can get them plain. I have a bunch of plain ones. Sure, it'll be too big for a lot of things, but most things will fit. These are 9 by 12, and they're just an inch smaller, but cost a little bit less. So sometimes you can get 4 different sizes in one package and then see which sizes you use most often. So you need to add the weight of your packaging to the weight of your package, because what UPS weighs, if they're going to spot check you, is the whole thing, right? They don't take out your t-shirt and weigh that. It's the whole thing. So I ship inside a storage bag, and then I put a thank you sticker on it, and then that goes inside a poly mailer, and then that gets a label put on it. So that whole thing together is what has to be weighed. You can do two things. You can weigh your storage bag, shipping bag, label, packaging material. Maybe you wrap in tissue. Maybe you don't use a plastic storage bag, and then know the total. For example, my most common poly mailer and a storage bag and a label weighs 0.6 ounces. So if I want to just weigh just the item, then I always have to add 0.6 ounces to the weight. And I hate math. So I made this. This is a sample package using a medium poly mailer. I also have one using the smaller poly mailer. And what it has inside is a storage bag and a thank you sticker. And then the poly mailer itself, I just folded it in half so it's smaller. And a shipping label on it. Then when I weigh my item on the scale, here's my scale. Oh, there's my scale. When I weigh the item on the scale, I put this on too. And then that is the total weight of my package. If an item requires something, go back, Heidi, go back. If an item requires not a poly mailer, it's going to require a little cardboard box or a shoe box. I go find that and say, okay, I'm putting this in my 6 by 9 by 12 box, and that is what I weigh it with. I make a note in my spreadsheet which box I weighed it with. Sometimes I'll even package the item in the box, and then I put my SKU on that and put it in my storage shelf. So it's already shipped and ready to go. If something requires extra packing material, a weird box, a package you don't normally use, find those things before you list the item. If you're going to sell a lampshade, you better have a box in your garage that fits a lampshade. You see what I'm saying? Don't be scrambling. I have to ship it today and I don't have a box. Don't list it until you've got a box. And I only say that to save you, your future self, from distress. You might say, oh, I'll find a box. I just want to get it listed right now. I don't want to think about it. I want it gone out of my sight. You choose when you have your anxieties, I guess, and I'm trying to save them from the future person. Okay, so I told you I had one simple plan, but actually I have two, and I'm going to push you to the second one. This one is easiest for you as a Poshmark seller, but it's not that great for the buyer. It's calculated priority shipping only. So everything you list, you're only going to ship calculated priority. It's kind of what Poshmark does, except they have one charge. And you're not going to share your shipping discount. Remember I told you that you get a discount when you buy your labels from eBay. Sorry, I'm lisping. I know my tongue still hurts. You get a discount from eBay as a seller. You can share it. You can pass that discount on to your buyer, so they pay a cheaper price. But here's some examples. If we offer calculated priority with no shared discount. On a package up to £1, your buyer would pay anywhere between $9.35 and $12.55. That comes from the rate chart. If I look at priority, commercial, package up to £1, zone 1, which is the same town as I'm in, all the way to zone 8, which is, for me, New York or California, it goes up to $12.55. So there's a zone 9, and those are for like Puerto Rico, Guam, Alaska, Hawaii. Could happen. And if it's calculated, the buyer pays wherever it's going. But I very rarely ship to those places. There just aren't a lot of people in those places. So most of my packages go to Florida, Texas, New York, or the Northeast and the West Coast. So, but it could go anywhere. But zone 8 is typically the highest price packages. But you, buying your label, would only pay $7.64 up to $10.07. So see, you make $1.50, almost, or up to almost $2.50 on your shipping as profit. You could call it covering your handling or covering your packaging expenses. On a heavy package, like up to 3 pounds, maybe some heavy boots, the buyer would pay, oh, can I move my little box here? I can. The buyer would pay from $10.45 all the way up to, stop it, all the way up to $22.45 if they were the farthest from you in zone 8. So you would pay a lot less. What would you pay instead of 22 on a 3-pound package? You would pay 18. So you'd make about $4. So if you pass around your discount, the buyer then would pay the same amount that you would pay. If it's $10.45, the buyer would pay that, and so would you. But remember, if you choose to pass along your shipping discount, it's for all your sales, over all your policies, all your listings. You can't pick and choose. Okay? So that's the easiest. Everything you ship is in priority. As long as you stay away from flat rate boxes, you can use all your priority shipping supplies you already have. You can use your 1092 box, your 1025 box, your number 7 box, all your favorite things. Okay? Easy. Nothing to decide. The benefits of calculated priority only, as the only service you offer, are that it's just like Poshmark. And you can use all your packaging, just not the flat rate stuff. Okay? So here's a shipping policy that's easy enough for you and just cheaper for the buyer, even when you don't share your shipping discount. Offer calculated ground advantage and calculated priority. So for any listing, you can offer multiple choices, multiple services, and the buyer chooses. Then on shipping day, when you go in to purchase a shipping label, eBay tells you this is what the buyer selected, and you have to do that. You can upgrade at your choice and your expense, go faster, but you can never downgrade, okay? So if the buyer chooses priority, you can never downgrade it to ground. But if the buyer chose ground advantage and you notice, oh, it's only going to cost me 50 cents more to go priority, you can upgrade it at your expense. So the buyer chooses after seeing the cost and how long it will take. You can still decide whether you're going to pass on your shipping discount or you're going to keep it. So for this example, on a package up to £1, a buyer would pay between $7.60 and $8.55 maximum. So remember I told you on priority £1 package, the buyer could pay as much as $12. And the cheapest they would get is $9. So ground gives them a couple dollars off if they wait a couple more days. And you would pay a $5.85 up to $6.78 maximum. And this is the policy that I'm recommending today, that you offer your buyers on all your items calculated ground advantage and calculated priority, and the buyer chooses. So some reminders on calculated shipping, how the buyer experiences that. When the buyer clicks on your listing, they have to click onto the listing, not just see it in a search result. eBay will display the estimated shipping charge. Ground advantage, it shows the dollar amount and then says standard shipping. Priority, it would show the dollar amount and then say expedited shipping. It would show typically ground advantage in the main listing, and then when they go to purchase, they get to choose. Or if it says see details and the buyer clicks on that, then they see they've got a choice. So it's calculated for either service using your zip code and theirs to calculate the correct retail rate for that buyer. It would show a range of estimated delivery dates based on their location and the service. If you go in and look at your own listings on a calculated shipping item, you're seeing what it would cost to ship to someone in your same zip code. Okay, so the shipping might look really cheap, and you think, wow, that's cheap. Well, that's because it's to ship it down the street, not to California. So, first of all, in order to create our own shipping policies, we have to see if you are opted in to business policies. So I'm going to show you how, and if you're watching this on your phone, you can follow along on your desktop and do it right now. If you are watching this on your desktop or your TV, you're not going to be able to do it right now. You cannot do it in the app. You have to be on a web browser. But then you can just make some notes and maybe go back and watch it later on your phone and follow along. But it's pretty easy. I'm going to talk you through it, and then I'm going to try and show you where it is. But that involves me clicking on other windows, and I'm afraid I'll lose you entirely. We'll see what happens, okay? We'll just experiment together. So, log into eBay, into your account on a web browser. In the upper right corner, you click on Sell. So upper right corner, up here, Sell. That takes you to Seller Hub. And in Seller Hub, there are a bunch of tabs going across different categories of things you can do. Click on Listings. That typically takes you to active listings, but we don't care. In the left menu, that left menu changes depending on what page you're on. But if you're in Listings, in the left menu, you'll see a section called Settings and then an item called Business Policies. Click on that. So click on Business Policies. So now you're in an area that I call Old eBay, an area that hasn't been remodeled. This is what the platform looked like through most of the pages. But the back end stuff where only sellers only go to clean house and create policies and do things like that, it still looks kind of the old platform style. But there's a line that says manage your business policies near the top. If you follow that line all the way to the right, mine says opt out of managing business policies, but yours probably says opt in. If it says opt out, that means you are already using business policies and you can create new ones. That's great. If it says opt in, I want you to click that. I don't know what happens next because I'm already opted in. So that'll be fun. I think all it does is tell you, okay, now you can start creating business policies. And it might lead you through creating a payment policy and a return policy. If it does, just follow the steps. Read the information on the screen. I've done quite a bit of computer software training over the years, and it's quite amazing how often people look at a screen and don't know what to do, and they haven't even read all the words there. So when you see something new, read all the words. That's my tip there. Oh, so now you've opted in. Does it show a whole bunch of policies in a table, a list below? Let's go have a look at my screen. Nope, that's my inventory journal. Okay, so I told you to go to Seller Hub and then business policies. See, I'm over here. Business policies. And it's up here where it says manage your business policies. Mine already says opt out, so that means I am opted in. And these are all my business policies. I've got a few that I can delete now because I've been trying to get rid of them. A few that only have one item listed under them. But most of my policies are just being used by just a few. Okay? I'll tell you now because it'll come up later. If you have an offer outstanding on an item, eBay locks some of the features of that listing and won't let you change them. So if you create a business policy and then apply that to a whole bunch of listings, any listings that had an offer on them, it won't apply to them. That'll just stay in the old system. And so with the change back in on July 9th, I was moving my policies to the new policies that I created, and I'm still catching some stragglers that are not there. Here's one package that's using a copy of an old Ground Advantage. See, copy. Here's another one that says copy. Here's another one that says copy. It did that because those were locked on the day that I tried to upgrade them, and so it just made a copy. And now I can go fix them. Okay, anyway, look at this long list of policies. And you might say, I never created any of those policies. eBay did that in the background. So you've opted in. So do you already have a lot of policies? eBay created those. In another lesson, we'll talk about what to do about them. Okay. Also on this page, we're going to decide, are you going to share your shipping discount? I'll show you where to do that. And are you going to ship international? And I'll show you where to do that. There's a lot to be said about shipping international, and it probably deserves more time on its own. Depending on what you sell, international selling can be very lucrative, and a lot of customers might be looking for what you're selling. I had a period of a couple years where I was looking into a lot of vintage denim, 90s, Levi's, and other like Jenko jeans and a few other brands. I mean, I was finding Orange Tab like 3 or 4 times a month. It was great. And I haven't found a good pair of vintage Levi's in, I don't know, almost a year probably now. So most of my international sales were going to Asia, and they were for denim. If you sell hard goods, collectibles, art, sports stuff, who knows? There might be international collectors. Once in a while, I'll sell a random Woolwich sweater to someone in Europe, but it's not. It's not common. If I turned off international selling, I wouldn't notice a drop in my sales now that I don't have any vintage denim. So for you now as a new eBay seller coming over from Poshmark, I will say, let's not do international right now. eBay makes it pretty easy because you ship it to Chicago and then they ship it to the buyer. They do the customs and duties imports forms. They are supposed to keep track of which items cannot be sold to certain countries. Unfortunately, they're not very good at keeping that track of that. I've heard of sellers who were selling, they opted into the international program, they didn't exclude any countries, and had their account suspended for selling an illegal item to country Z. We'll just make up a country. And turned out Z had a law against importing jeans. I don't know. I'm making up stuff. And eBay informed them that, their account would be suspended for 3 days and they should not list those things for international sale anymore. And it'll be like, well, you knew it was not allowed. Why did you allow the sale to go through? So that's something that people have complained about. And unless you want to figure out all the rules about what you can sell to which country, you might want to not get involved in international shipping at this time. If you do want to, I will show you where to do it. Now, did you decide you want to share your shipping discount? I will show you where to do that. Let's go back to eBay. Okay, so over here, see, we've got all these great policies. We'll come back to those. Over here on the left, it says Site Preferences. Click on that. And then there are a bunch of different site preferences, and we want to look at shipping preferences. Okay, so I am in eBay International Shipping. If I didn't want to be, I could click Opt Out. If you are not opted in and want to be, you should click Opt In. There you go. And they will tell you more details if you click on the little words that say more details. Okay? So if you want to do international shipping, this is where you allow it. Now, I will say on individual items, if you say, I don't want to list this international, in the listing, you can always turn off international shipping item by item by item if you choose, okay? So if you find out that you can't sell wool sweaters to Switzerland, then when you have a wool sweater, you can turn off international shipping. That seems like a pain. It's a good thing that's not a rule. Okay, so we'll go back. Now let's say you want to share your shipping discount. Click on Shipping Preferences again. And down here where it says Offer Discounts to Buyers. See it there? Domestic Shipping Discount, and then you click Edit. Offer eBay discounted rates to buyers. These rates will only be applied to listings using calculated shipping. So if you click this little box, you can apply it to all of these rates. Shipping labels must be purchased through eBay. So if you choose that, then instead of paying retail, they pay commercial, and then you will pay exactly the same amount when you buy your label. So there's no profit on the shipping label. You can choose to don't offer discounted rates to buyers. That's what I do. You can choose to offer a custom discount to buyers. Be careful. This is a % off the retail rate. So you want to give them just a little deal. So you might choose 10% off. Or you might want to give them a good deal, so you say 50% off. You might be saying, Heidi, what's my discount? It varies. I don't know. eBay always shows you what your discount is. Sometimes it's 22, sometimes it's 28, sometimes it's 18. I've seen all different kinds of numbers. Depends on the service. But if you don't know what your discount is, you shouldn't be offering a % discount unless it's a small one. Either give your discount rate or give them like 10% off. But then that raises a question to me. Okay, I'm going to say don't offer. And I'm also going to cancel out of here because I don't want to change anything. So shipping discounts or offering cheaper shipping, even all the way up to free shipping, that's meant to make it easier to sell your items, right? Buyers can sort their search results, high to low, by the price of the item plus shipping. It always does both together because eBay knows that if you offer free shipping, you're probably charging more for the item. And if you're charging $2 for the item, you could be charging $20 for shipping. There's listings are out there. I see them all the time. Oh, hey, the sweater's $9.99 and the shipping is $22. So eBay combines the two together for sorting by price, okay? So you need to have affordable shipping so that when the buyer looks at your item, they don't go, oh, I'm not gonna pay $12 to ship that. And that's why it's challenging to sell a pair of boots that the resale price is probably only $12.99 because the shipping's probably $12.99, right? So for heavier stuff, most resellers really try to have higher value stuff in the heavy items to make the shipping seem affordable. Now on a a 9-ounce blouse, if my shipping is $5.99 and somebody else has the same blouse and their shipping is $5.88, is the buyer going to choose them over me, over 11 cents? Maybe. Maybe my pictures are better. Maybe I'm top rated plus. Maybe I had more details in my listing. Maybe they just like the color of mine slightly better, the way it displayed on their screen. But here's the really challenging part. Hardly anybody's ever going to have my exact same blouse, right? How often do you look for comps? Yeah, there are a lot of folks on YouTube who seem to find items that exact item was sold last week at Madewell and now you can buy it today on Poshmark, and I don't find those items. But if you do, that's great. Then your shipping needs to be what I call competitive, meaning don't charge way more than somebody else who has the exact same item. If somebody has this Madewell blouse for $18 with $5.99 shipping, then you better not charge $18 and $12.99 shipping because they'll buy the other one, okay? But you want your shipping to be affordable. And doing calculated makes it affordable because you're charging what it costs, not some made-up number, okay? And if you think that sharing your shipping discount, which will save the buyer anywhere from 50 cents to maybe $2, makes your item more competitive, then by all means share your shipping discount. If you think for some reason that it's wrong for you to pay a cheaper price to ship the label than the buyer paid you to ship the item, then by all means share your shipping discount. People do it for a lot of reasons. Try not to do it for an emotional reason, but if something has a high value to you and would violate your standards. To me, charging the buyer $1 more for shipping than it costs me, I don't feel bad about that. I don't feel like I'm ripping anyone off. I tell them exactly what it costs, and I have expenses, and that money goes to cover some of my expenses. Okay, so you can offer your shipping discount right here. Offer discounts to buyers. Click edit. Okay? Now let's go back to my show. But yeah, if you do a custom percent off, it's a percent off the retail rate. So be careful. If you give them 50% off, you're going to be paying more for the label than they do. So the next thing we're going to do is create a shipping policy. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to cancel. I'm trying to cancel. Okay. So I keep using the browser back until I get to my business policies page. Right here it says create a policy, and there's a drop down menu. What kind of policy do you want to create? I want to create a shipping policy. Okay, now here, if you've been listing without having any policies, are the kinds of things you've been answering every single time, except you haven't been giving it a name. We're going to give this policy a name. Heidi's recommended beginner policy. You might call yours standard clothing shipping, or default clothing shipping, or calculated clothing shipping, whatever you want to call it. The buyer doesn't see it. And here you can have even more words, because this is limited to how many words you can have. And I'm just going to put this policy was created as a test during a training session. Okay? I don't want to create that as my default policy. It would offer me that policy first, then every time I created a new listing. So our first section here is US shipping. There's a drop down. We have the choice of flat, the same cost to all buyers. We have a choice to calculated. Cost varies by buyer location. Freight, items over a pound, 150 pounds, no shipping, local pickup only. We have only talked about flat shipping, same cost to all buyers, or calculated shipping, and I'm asking you to please choose calculated. Okay, now it says what service are we going to offer? The first service we're going to offer, look at all these choices, our USPS Ground Advantage. I'm going to choose that. Great. I want to offer the buyer an additional service. So I click Offer Additional Service. And there's a drop-down menu. What's your additional service going to be? It's going to be USPS Priority Mail. Not a flat rate envelope, not a flat rate box, not a flat rate box, not a flat rate, not a flat rate, not a flat rate. Okay? Not express, no. USPS Priority Mail. Great. Is it going to be free? No way. Select a handling time. Same business day? 1 business day? 2 business days? 3 business days? More than this is excessive or not typical. They let you go all the way to 40. Wow. So, what are you going to do? I think for most casual sellers, you ought to be able to do 2. That means if I sell something today, it's Sunday, I have to ship it Tuesday, 2 business days. Monday's a day, Tuesday's a day. Okay? eBay always tells you in your list of items ready to ship which ones you have to ship within 24 hours. So you might check that every day and go, oh, I got to ship that tomorrow. Okay? Or they'll tell you ship by such and such a date in your list of items to be shipped. So choose the best, quickest service you can. I will tell you that I've always had 1 business day. I'm retired. I'm at home. I have pickup. My mail carrier, Mikey, I hate it when he goes on vacation. He was on vacation last week. Anyway, Mikey comes. Sometimes if I don't, on the rare occasion I don't have anything to ship, he'll come and knock on my door and say, he has to get out of the truck and walk all the way to my door and knock on the door and say, did you forget to schedule a pickup? And I'll say, Mikey, I love you. And then he looks at me weird. No, he doesn't. So I understand some people don't have a Mikey, or you don't have pickup available to you. But find out if you do. And if you can, I would say 90% of my feedback on eBay mentions fast shipping. If buyers get something before they expected it, they're happy before they even open your package. So ship the darn thing. Are you going to add an additional charge in addition to shipping? I never do. Are you going to ship internationally? If you just leave that alone, you're not shipping. Even if you opted into international shipping, this policy is no international shipping, okay? The drop down, then if you're going to have international shipping, is it going to be flat or calculated, okay? Always do calculated for international, please. Unless you're very experienced and you're using pirate ship, simple export rate, and importing your labels, you're tracking back to eBay, don't use flat rate shipping international. It's dangerous. Okay, and then you click save. You ready? So you put in, you're going to use calculated shipping, ground advantage, priority mail, handling time, no international, and save. I now have a shipping policy. Where is it? Anybody remember what I called it? Heidi's recommended beginner policy. And I have no listings attached to it. That was fun. Create a listing using your new policy. Let's go do that. I have to figure out how to get back to my eBay. Okay, here we go. So, listing, create a listing. Oh, tell us what you're selling. Madewell top. No, I don't have a match. Sorry, don't care. It's pre-owned. Okay. So blah-de-blah-de-blah. Here's my Madewell top. That's world's worst title ever. Custom SKU. That's where I put in my custom SKU, which begins with an item number like 5453, and then has the bin letters like DD, and then has the date that I bought it and how much I paid for it, all in my custom SKU. I love having all that info. So whatever you put there, no one else can see, and you can put that information on your shipping label if it helps you. I use store categories to help me know how many tops or purses or whatever I have, but you don't have to use store categories. eBay said this is a women's clothing top, and I'm fine with that category, but I am going to change my store category over here to women's tops. Okay. Brand, I told you it was a Madewell. I don't know why you're calling it a top, because your AI sometimes sucks. And for some reason it didn't find the brand Madewell. Sure. It is a regular size type. I'm just going to say it's blue. And I'm going to say it's a button up. And I'm going to say it's women. Someday we'll talk about item specifics. These are optional item specifics. How many should you fill in? Look how many there are. Oh my goodness, this is so much harder than Poshmark. Why do I have to fill out all these item specifics? You don't. This is a size large. You have to fill in the ones that matter to your buyer when they're searching. And someday we will talk about item specifics and filters. But if it helps your buyer say, yes, that's the one I want, then fill it in. If it doesn't, then don't. Don't worry about character. Don't worry about theme. Don't worry about accents unless sequins. Some buyer's going to say, yes, I want sequins. We'll talk about item specifics someday. Do all of the required and do any additional that will help you sell your item. Okay? Long sleeve. They might want only short sleeve. If you click long sleeve and they say only short sleeve, they won't see your item. If you don't click anything and they click short sleeve, they won't see your item. They have to match the filters. Got it? No. What is your condition description? This is where I note any flaws. If it has any flaws, if it doesn't have flaws, I put great pre-owned condition. Sometimes then people will write to me and say, does it have any flaws? And I'll say, no. Sometimes they'll say, does it have any rips, any stains, any tears, any snags, any spots, any drips, any drizzles, any holes, any chew marks, any bite marks? They're just trying to make sure that they can return something if they don't like it. And on eBay, I accept returns. So I'll say, I have observed no flaws. If you don't like the item, you can return it for any reason. And then they reply, oh, Okay, down here, I'm just showing you a little bit about my listing process. I typically will copy my title, and that's the beginning of my description. But since this is such a crappy description and title, and here's where I put my approximate measurements, lying flat. Yes, I include measurements. I generally, if I'm just buying like a random, if it's a J. Jill certain size shirt, I know, yeah, that'll fit me. Or my favorite Foxcraft button down, yeah, I know that'll fit me. But if it's a brand I've never worn before, or if it's a material that probably shrinks and it has no measurements, I'm not buying it. So if you don't want to provide measurements, that's fine. Just know that there are buyers who will skip over you if you don't have them. And they won't ask you for the measurements. They'll just move on. I know sometimes people ask for measurements and then they don't buy from you. Maybe that's because once they got the measurements, they found out it wouldn't fit them. That could be. But no one ever refused to buy your item because you provided measurements. No one ever was ever looking at your item and said, oh, they put measurements in. I'm not going to buy this. But the reverse could be true, and you would never know. eBay tells me that I can get $18.99 for my Madewell top. That's optimistic, but we'll go for it. Leave a little room for offers. Okay, now it's going to get interesting down here. I have offers turned on all the time. Shipping. It's offering me a shipping policy, but I'm going to click the drop down and choose Heidi's recommended beginner policy. Now, when you click your drop down, you might have lots of policies. They might be all the weird ones eBay created for you. But I want you to choose the policy you created today, which offers the buyer calculated ground advantage and/or calculated priority, and then shows them the price that they'll pay. Then when the item sells, eBay will charge them the correct amount, and then when you go to ship the item, you will buy a shipping label that costs the same or less, depending on if you're sharing your discount. Here is where I put in the weight. Oh, I'll weigh it later. Yeah, it probably weighs like half a pound, so I'll put in half a pound. No, you will not. You will weigh your item right here on your scale with your little pretend shipping package on top of it, and you will put in the amount. Oh, wait a minute. I weigh when I do my photos. Okay, so let's upload the photos. You can upload photos from your phone. Upload photos from your phone. What it will do is it opens the app, and then you pop in your photos, and then close it, and then they show up here. It's awesome if you've never tried it. I have kind of a convoluted process because of my photo editing and my cross-posting to Poshmark. That's not how I do my photos, but nobody cares. Nobody cares, Heidi. But anyway, you've got a photo of what your item weighs, and you are going to go down here and put the package weight in. And let's say, oh, this is kind of a bigger package. It's a big shoebox. I better put in the dimensions too. But we'll talk about that later. For most items, all of the normal packaging of your normal clothes, you don't need the dimensions, okay? Just the weight. It says I'm doing international shipping. And then here's my return policy. Do I have that already chosen? Yeah, my return policy is blah-de-blah-de-blah-da. That's all default. I have free returns, and that's there. If I wanted to promote, I can tune that on right now. I typically promote in batches later. So I'm going to save this draft because that's how I operate. I don't have any photos in it yet, right? So there's my Madewell top. What on earth have we just done? When you reach the shipping section, click the drop down and choose your new policy. The buyer will pay the correct price for the service they chose for where they live. You will purchase a shipping label for that same cost or less, but never for more than the buyer paid. Oop. So before you start, you have to decide right now, when am I going to weigh my items? I weigh each item when I enter it in my spreadsheet. So I come home from the thrift store, I've got a bag of stuff. I enter each item in my spreadsheet, Madewell top, bought it at Goodwill, paid $2.99, I wish. I measure it right then, that goes in my spreadsheet, and I weigh it, and that goes in my spreadsheet. Then when I'm listing, I'm taking information off my spreadsheet. Yep, I know I'm doing double work, but I do things in batches. Process all my inventory as it comes home. Draft 15, 20, 30 drafts. Take photos, 15, 20, 30 items. Put them all together and boom. So if I did things one at a time, I might do it differently. If you're going to list, if you list from photographs, for example, your only processing you do is to pull the tags off, steam it, and take pictures. Well, weigh it when you take pictures. Then when you go to create your draft, you say, oh, I've got pictures of these jeans. Okay, the tag says they're Madewell jeans, and oh, it says they weigh this much. You can enter it all in. And you can list on eBay on your phone with a policy, but you have to create the policy on your desktop. Okay, you can use the shipping policy in the app. And don't forget to add the weight of a sample package or any packaging to the weight of your item. Here's a little warning about big packages. We've talked about just entering the weight, right? I said you didn't need the dimensions unless it was big. But these charts have a bunch of surcharges down here in the corner. If your item is large but not necessarily heavy, but it's large, the package will be greater than 1728 cubic inches. You have to enter the dimensions because then eBay's going to charge an extra fee. But they'll charge the buyer, and then you'll get that money, and then when you buy the label, you'll be fine, right? So this is why calculated is great. But if you don't put the dimensions in, and then later you do, eBay didn't charge them the right amount up front, okay? So when is a box or package bigger than 1728, you might say? Well, an example would be a box that's 18 by 16 by 6. That's pretty big. Or a box that's 12 by 12 by 12. So a cubic foot is what 1728 is. But an 18-inch box, let's 18. 18-inch box by a 12-inch box by a 6-inch box, that would be like a big coat, okay? Something you had to go to the garage to find. None of your priority boxes are that big. If the item is longer than 22 inches, so you chose a box that's almost 2 feet long, it could add $4 to the chart prices. If your item is longer than 30 inches, it could add $7 to the chart prices. So if you're using calculated shipping and it's a box that could be longer or have more cubic inches than standard, you need to enter the dimensions. And then eBay will charge the buyer the correct amount, including any surcharge. And then when you buy the label, you'll be covered, okay? So if a box seems bigger than normal, just go ahead and measure it and put the dimensions in. It never hurts to have them there, okay? Generally, poly bags, if it's going in a poly bag, it's not going to be 18 by 16 by 6, okay? But if you enter the dimensions for any package that's not a normal size box, like a shoe box, or your 1092 box or 1095 boxes, those are not oversized, okay? But if something makes you think, wow, I got to hunt for a big box, include those dimensions in your listing so the buyer gets charged the right amount. Okay? That's just a little bonus warning. Now, that warning about big boxes got you all in a panic again. You're like thinking, oh my God, what if I don't do it and then I get charged extra? Take a breath. If you get charged an extra $8 sometime, so what? Chalk it up to the cost of your education. I won't do that again. Horror stories about eBay shipping. Well, no, I'm sorry, but an infected tooth is a horror story. Sorry, poor Heidi. And shipping on eBay is not a horror story. So take a breath. All your packages are going to be paid for by the buyer, and you're either going to make a little money or you're going to pay the same, okay? And if you sell clothing, 75% of your packages are probably less than a pound. 99% are probably less than 2 pounds. Jeans, right? Unless you're selling all the big coats, all the big boots. Most of your packages are pretty light, and it won't be any big deal. If you sell hard goods, mastering the packaging, weighing, measuring, and shipping on hard goods, shipping stuff so it doesn't break, finding a box for every freaking item, That's why eBay can be so profitable selling hard goods, because lots of people are not willing to do it. I once sold a new in the box food processor from 1987, Sunbeam something or other. Literally, it was new in the box. The cords were still had their little bindings on them with little plastic bags on them. The 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 blades were all encased in special little guards, and everything was brand new. Somebody got it for a wedding gift and thought, I don't know what to do with that, and put it on a shelf in their closet. And then 97, 2007, 2017, 35 years later, they said, Ma, you want this old food processor? And no, they gave it to Goodwill. I saw it and I thought, that's interesting. It's new. Did you know there are people who collect new in the box old vintage food processors? I probably sold it to a prop master for a TV or movie show. Movie show? Who the hell are you? For television or movies, probably sold it to somebody who wanted it on a kitchen counter in a show set in the 80s. And, but strangely, the comps were so good, I asked for $250 for it, plus shipping, and they paid it. So, shipping hard goods on eBay, yes, I had to find a box for it because the people wanted the box. It was new in the box. I had to put it in another box. I had to package it. It was heavy. It was oversized. It was big. It was bulky. It was nasty. And I made a profit of about $230. So that's why people are willing to do it, because it's more work. If you're not, then stay out of the hard goods business. And if you don't want to sell to an audience that's 10 times larger than Poshmark, then maybe eBay's not for you. Okay? You can do this. What's left? Possible future topics about shipping would be changing the shipping policy on your existing listings to match this new one. There's an easy way to do it. Considering charging a flat charge for shipping instead of calculated. I charge $5.99 for anything that weighs less than 12 ounces. I charge $6.99 for anything that weighs less than a pound. And I do calculated priority or ground advantage choice for anything over a pound. That's my mixed thing. You might choose to do that in the future. How to put your custom SKU on your shipping label, if that helps you when you're pulling your items. And we're going to talk. I talked too long. We're going to have to edit that out. I'm pointing out that you can buy eBay labels using your pending eBay funds or PayPal funds, and why you might want to choose PayPal, especially if you have credit cards that pay rewards. So isn't that intriguing? So I hope this wasn't boring. I say shipping begins when you list, not when you sell. You can do this. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below, and I will address them right away or in a future video. Oh boy, I'm sorry I was so boring and that I talked funny. I know my tongue hurts. But I had a great time because I really enjoy encouraging people to try new things and be brave. I hope you had a great time. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, kids.